Underway, the stars of the NASCAR Busch Series getting ready for 250 laps on the high-banked half-mile Bristol Motor Speedway. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Victory Lane here at Bristol. The TNT race family getting ready to hit the track with the Busch Series. Glad you're along for the ride. I'm Bill Weber. Championship leader Martin Truex Jr. leads Kyle Busch by 97 points in the standings. Together, those two drivers have combined to win 9 of the 23 races this season. Now, visitors from the Nextel Cup Series have won 10 of the remaining 14 races. So tonight, Truex and Busch continue their battle on a steep track against a star-studded field. Let's start with a popular poll winner. Here's Marty Snider.
In his first non-restrictor plate Busch Series race since 2002, Dale Earnhardt Jr. qualified his car first. Junior, is a car good enough to finish first?
Yeah, car's good enough. We just got to make the right calls. Drivers got to be smart and get on off pit road good. The car's been quick in practice, so just try to be safe and keep nose clean.
3 times in his Busch Series career, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has started first and won the race. Dave Burns.
Marty, Kevin Harvick hoping the rest of the field loses themselves in his wake. Kevin starting 4th tonight, a 4th victory here at Bristol.
Well, I think so. I mean, it's the Reese Chevrolet's been pretty good since we unloaded, and you know, we've had a lot of success here, and the producers told me to be brief, so I'm going to make this as long-winded as I can.
No, you're not.
I'm just kidding. But it should be a good night for us. We just got to stay out of trouble and keep our nose clean.
Very good. Look for the orange 21 starting outside row 2. To Matt Yoakum.
Dave, Martin Truex Jr. will try to pull off the sweep. He won from the front row back in the spring. Today, he starts deeper in row 6. Typically, you say you never think about points, just the wins, but starting this deep back, does that make you reassess your thoughts on this?
Well, we still want to win. We want to win every week, that's for sure. But starting 12th at Bristol could be a little bit of a tough task. But we just need to have a good night. You know, finish the race is the main goal, obviously. But I think we get up there. Our car's pretty good. So got Bass Pro back on this week, and hopefully they'll bring some luck.
His average finish in the short tracks in 2004, 4th. He rolls off 12th tonight to Marty Snider.
And the only man better than him at the short tracks this year is Kyle Busch, who's been awfully good at them in the terms of the chase for the championship. You've knocked off some points in the last 2 weeks, but how much of a wild card is Bristol in terms of the chase for the championship?
It is. It's a lot of one. You know, we've been able to knock off points, but not as many as we want to, of course, with the low Chevrolet. But we just got to make sure we go out there tonight and try to keep our nose clean and try to do what we need to do in order to keep our car up front. That's the best possible thing to do here.
Trying to be the first driver since Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 1999 to win 3 straight Busch Series races. Bill?
Thanks, Marty. Tonight, 250 laps for the Busch Series. Tomorrow, the Sharpie 500 for the stars of the Nextel Cup Series. Our live TNT sports coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with a Discover Card Countdown to Green. We'll talk with the stars as they get ready to go racing. Matt will have a profile of Kurt Busch looking for his 4th straight win at this track. Dave will tell you how a loose lug nut can ruin a good day. Benny hits the road with some of the most popular drivers in NASCAR, and you don't even know their names. And Wally will show us the art of the bump and run. The Countdown to Green tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. You missed the countdown at Bristol. You start the race 2 laps down. Coming up, Busch Series racing under the lights at the Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Watch it. Oh, you did it. Save it. Staying off the corner. Stay up. Stay down and keep digging.
TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Busch Series, live from the Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. Tonight, 250 laps on this lightning-quick and cramped half-mile. Michael Waltrip is the defending race winner. Martin Truex Jr. went to victory lane here in the spring. Hope you're ready to go racing, everybody. The TNT family in place for back-to-back nights here at Bristol. 43 cars will start this race. How many will finish? In the spring, 15 never saw the checkered flag. A year ago, 17 failed to finish. To win this race, You must survive this race. Now time to throw it upstairs to three guys that have survived a pretty busy day and they're ready to go racing. Alan, Wally, and Benny.
We haven't kicked Wally off the island yet either, though we thought about it. Listen, short track, big action, very demanding on the drivers.
Yeah, this is a racetrack that's very demanding. I mean, it's probably the most demanding racetrack that we race on. I mean, you're very, very busy. But the key, if you're going to win a race here, you have to really take care of your equipment. The way you're going to take care of your equipment, you have to use patience, which a lot of these guys don't know what it is.
You know, 3 of the 4, we interviewed 4 guys in our pre-race show. 3 of the 4 said, I've got to keep my nose clean. What they're saying is, I've got to be patient. I can't put my nose in my car in some place that doesn't belong. Because what happens when you do that, you spin the car in front of you, you get involved in the crash, and pretty soon there's a big mess.
So it's a game of racing survivor tonight. Keep all the fenders on and be around for the checkered flag. There'll be some sparks flying, that's for sure. And all the action gets underway when we come back to Bristol. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Some 100,000 are inside the Bristol Motor Speedway to see the NASCAR Busch Series run 250 laps. Time to go trackside and get this thing started.
Race fans, it's time now for the most famous words in NASCAR. Our Grand Marshal, George the Painter Wilson of Food City, to give the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine.
George the Painter is the head of maintenance here at the racetrack, and he's been the star of the track's advertising campaign, talking about how he has to go back and repaint all these walls after these race cars get done bouncing off him. He's kind of become a little bit of a cult hero in this area.
That's a full-time job.
Yes, it is. And he's the Grand Marshal for tonight. Here we go with our Castro starting grid for tonight's Food City 250. Let you know how they'll line up. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will lead the field of the green flag with Tony Raines alongside his best ever start. He's got a second place finish at Bristol.
And Kevin Harvick going for 4 victories here on this concrete track at Bristol. Casey Kane out of row 3.
Jamie McMurray seeking his first Bristol Top 10 Busch Series finish, along with Kyle Busch going for 3 straight wins. He finished 3rd here in March.
Biffle has 4 victories so far this year. Carl Edwards, a rare NASCAR Busch Series appearance for him.
Robbie Gordon, a lot of folks think, has a very strong car for this race. He's going to come from row number 10. And Jason Keller, excellent is his record here at Bristol in the past.
Kenseth, oh man, he's way back in 25th spot.
That's a surprise.
Well, that's right.
He won't be there for long.
He will be going forward.
Mike Wallace, top 10 finish last weekend at Michigan. His team's kind of on a little bit of a roll here lately. Looking to continue it here tonight. Deep in the field, former 2-time Bristol winner Steve Grissom, going to come from row 21. He won this race a number of years ago from way back in the starting field.
And Jimmy Kitchens, the last car. Big list that failed to qualify, Alan.
Yep. A lot of cars here trying to get in. That's what it means to race here at Bristol. And when Eric McClure missed the driver's meeting, he will drop to the tail end on the pace laps from his scheduled 36th starting spot. Cars not yet having rolled off onto the racetrack for their parade and pace laps, but 3 pace laps around here does not take very long. So let's get a head start on our final stories from pit road. Marty, lead us off.
Alan, the qualifying lap that surprised everybody yesterday was Tony Raines. Surprised everybody, that is, except for Tony Raines. He said it was, though, the career qualifying lap of all career qualifying laps. Surprised him a little bit, but he said he finished 6th with this car here in March. Told me before he got in the car just a moment ago, the car's even better tonight. I may not be as fast as Dale Earnhardt Jr., but we'll be there at the end. Matt?
Marty, Kenny Wallace is winless in 2004, but he's hoping that tonight kind of mirrors a night back in 1994. He was winless coming into this event that year, and he went on to victory lane and jump-started a 3-win season, but he had a lot of problems in the final practice session, of fire under the hood. The team had to replace all the wires and hoses. He only got 20 laps during that final practice session. He has only 20 laps on this car. They still have a few ideas they want to try to work on this car, but only one stop they're going for tonight. He rolls off in the 3rd position. Dave?
Matt, you're not supposed to be able to do this. That is, qualify better than experienced and well-funded teams. But that's just what Carl Edwards and crew chief Robbie Benton have done this weekend. They qualified on the outside of row number 7 ahead of a lot of good guys. And Carl Edwards, a brand new guy in the Nextel Cup Series, is also a Truck Series driver and won a race earlier here this week. They've had a good weekend so far. They're hoping to keep it together and have a good showing here for Mac Tools tonight. Alan?
And the cars you see completing one of the 3 parade and pace laps they'll make before we get started. A little better than 1.2 million on the line tonight. And the pit window, that's the key. We heard Matt mention one-stop race. You get to change 2 sets of tires under caution. The question down with these crew chiefs is going to be, how many times do you stop?
And how much fall off is there in a set of tires, so you really don't know if you're going to change it once or just twice. We'll see a lot of teams try it once.
Yeah, and in the past there hasn't been a lot of fall off on these tires.
We'll see how that plays out. It will be interesting. Track position, tires, which is going to win. And they're coming around to get the 1 to go signal this time. It is a sight here at Bristol when this place is full of people and the cars are behind the pace car and the flash bulbs are going off. A sight unlike any other in NASCAR racing.
The drivers in the outside lane are thinking, how am I going to get to the bottom? Because that's the first thing they want to do is get to the bottom lane.
It has been a beautiful weekend so far between yesterday and today. Kind of warm, a little muggy. Forecast is for good weather throughout the night tonight. Though at this time of year in the southeast, you can always throw in a slight chance of a little pop-up shower somewhere, but not supposed to be a factor for us throughout the evening. Well, here we go. How many laps until the first caution? How many cars does the first caution claim?
Well,
we'll be patient.
They probably will get. You think they'll get to 2 laps, Wally?
Boy, if I was a betting man, BP. No.
We are not going racing because apparently a piece of debris has been spotted in turn number 3. So it's going to be another couple of laps while they send a cleanup truck out to chase that down. So while we wait, we'll tell you the NASCAR Busch Series racing from Bristol on TNT is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. By Best Western, wherever NASCAR takes you, Best Western is there. Best Western, the official hotel of NASCAR. By Exxon and Mobil retailers, who wish all of the drivers a great race tonight. And by the Midas Auto Service experts. Trust the Midas touch.
Glad you got that spit out, Alan.
Thank you. Got to get started here. So here we go. They'll get 1 to go this time when they come to the line. And boy, do we have a crowded field of ambushers here. Guys running both tonight and in tomorrow night's Nextel Cup race. And even a few guys doing triple duty.
And we see where they're starting both tonight and tomorrow night. Earnhardt Jr. starts on the pole tonight, 30th in tomorrow night's Sharpie 500.
That would be 15 drivers in all running tonight and tomorrow night. A few of them, like Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards, also ran the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race here on Wednesday night, which Carl won, starting in the back and going to the front.
There we see on board with Carl Edwards.
One of those with whom we will ride tonight.
And there were some tire games in that race.
Oh, yes.
Guys that tried to stay out.
Carl Edwards, it was a 200-lap race. He stopped at 100 and made 1 stop.
Yeah.
One of the big stories in the NASCAR Busch Series this week, a driver change in that car. Bobby Hamilton Jr. And the team splitting company, each with different sides of the story as to why they've parted company. But that is the veteran Mike McLaughlin that's behind the wheel of the 25 tonight for Team Marines and Renzi Motorsports.
When they first announced that Hamilton Jr. was out of the car, they said that Jeff Green would be the driver. And the next day they'd come back and say, whoops, we're a little bit too fast on that. It's McLaughlin. All right, here we go.
250 laps at Bristol. The roar will let you know it's time to start. Earnhardt Jr. brings him down to the green flag.
So far, so good. Tony Lane just forced his way into second spot. Just kind of.
He spoke so soon.
These guys are really
jamming. Got trouble off turn 4. First lap. Johnny Sauter and Mark Green. And who's that collected Mark? That is Eric McClure.
Eric McClure.
So the answer to your question would be,
we were correct.
1 lap.
1 lap.
We said under 2, didn't we?
I'll give you credit for that.
Oh, me.
That is why you want to start up front in a race here at Bristol. That started maybe about 12th in line and just kind of accordioned on back.
Looks like somebody got in the back of the 27 and forced him. And here comes McClure. Hard contact. There's another car involved as well. He's going to drive away.
Problem with these coming out of turn 4 here, there's no place to go. You can't get away from the wreck.
Stay down.
There you go. Okay, I'll go high. And
You're good. You're good.
he only had one he had to deal with. Those guys behind him had a bunch.
That started about 11th place, wound up back about 25th, and that is the big mess that resulted. Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway in eastern Tennessee, where the NASCAR Busch Series runs 250 laps tonight, and they only got one of them done under the green flag before the first mess of the evening happened. Caution out when several cars got involved in a big pileup. It started back up about 12th place or so in line, and by the time the accordion factor was done.
You see, Casey Atwood in the 14 car, right there, he's on the apron of the racetrack. He turns it sideways, so the 27 car, the car in front of him, Jason Leffler, backs off, and Johnny spins his car to avoid hitting him, and then behind him cars start spinning out, getting run in the back of, and pretty soon you've got Mark Green getting clobbered by Eric McClure, also Tina Gordon involved.
So 4 drivers' cars suffering some pretty severe damage in the accident. And you see that Eric McClure's car not likely to be driving anymore this evening, except up onto the ramp truck. Boy, they get some people to turn out here, don't they?
Man, unbelievable. You know, Wednesday night in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, a huge crowd here at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
This is a very cool place to watch a race.
Hey!
Man. What's he doing here?
That's your man, Wally.
My man, BP.
What's the deal here?
Well, we're going racing next week.
Oh, really?
And our bet. Is our bet still on? Same as last year, top 5?
What was the deal now? If you finish the top 5, I got to wash your car. If you don't, how many races are you going to run now?
5.
Okay, you got to finish the top 5 in one of those races.
Yes.
If you do, I wash your car.
Yes.
If you don't, you wash my car.
Yes, like I did last year.
Of course the deal. Of course it's all. Are you nuts?
And there's also a, you know what, BP, looking at you, there's a look-alike contest this year. Look-alike Mr. Clean at Fontana on Friday. I think you ought to join in.
But my chest muscles have fallen. That's my problem.
Well, I tell you what, at 10:30, come to the NBC compound and wear your white T-shirt. We'll enter you in the contest.
You think so? I don't.
If you're out in Southern California next Saturday, Friday, I'm sorry.
Next Friday, yeah.
And you look like Mr. Clean, show up outside of turn 4 at the California Speedway at 10:30. If you can clean like Mr. Clean, you could win some neat stuff and get a garage tour, too. Still clean it up. Get it? Clean it up.
I get it.
NASCAR on TNT from Bristol Motor Speedway with about 100,000 of our closest friends watching the NASCAR Busch Series run 250 laps tonight. We're getting set to go back racing after a 4-car accident at the end of lap 1 has slowed the proceedings in the early going. Alrighty. This time it's a single file restart.
And Johnny Sauter, the 27 car, is on pit road, having to obey pit road speed, and the cars are back up to speed.
Tony Raines all over Earnhardt up front. And then we got Truex working on the 2-car. Corner day. That's a great shot.
That's for 12th and 13th spots, already been a little contact there.
Yeah, we already got some damage to the left rear of the 2-car. Where someone is banged in the back of him. We're right on board with Mark Truex Jr. And I'm telling you, in the spring when they raced here, this 8 car was unbelievable how hooked up he was. I'm just shocked that he's back in 13th position.
That's a little bit of the bump and rub.
Change for second. Kevin Harvick went by Kenny Wallace on the restart for 3rd. Just went by Tony Raines for 2nd. 21 car on the move.
Kevin man gets around this place good. He really likes this racetrack, so he is going to be tough tonight.
3-time Bristol Busch Series winner Kevin Harvick has 3 out of 9 races.
Did I mention that he's won here 3 times? How about it, Dave? Can you add on the 21?
Well, absolutely. Kevin was very confident when I talked to him before the race, even before the interview. Talked to his crew chief, Ricky Byers, and they just felt like this car, which ran so well here in the spring, was equally as good this time. Remember, he finished second here in the spring after starting 5th, so they are high on the car, and as you mentioned, always high on Kevin Harvick here at Bristol.
And with good reason.
Yeah, he's heating up that lead
3 times.
Has he?
Did you know that?
I didn't. Should remind me.
Lap traffic, Tina Gordon involved in that first crash in the 39, being overtaken by some of the front runners.
And I tell you what, these guys on the outside going by, you really tiptoe by a car when they're on the inside, in that inside groove.
Because the field was strung out with a single file restart so early in the race, the leader's going to catch the tail end of the field in a huge hurry. So some of these guys at the end of the line have got to go.
And that leader may be Harvick by the time they get there.
Man, how fast is 21 car? Last time by was 0.15 of a second faster than Dale Earnhardt.
He is now. Earnhardt just should really, this early in the race, just give him the room and go, because if he doesn't, Tony Raines and Kenny Wallace are going to be right on their back bumper.
For the race lead, Harvick in the 21, Earnhardt Jr. in the 81. There is your wave by, you think?
Probably. I mean, that's just a smart thing to do, because if you start racing each other, especially in traffic, you're going to lose time to the guys behind you.
Marty, something wrong with the 81 car?
Of course not, VP. I think they're just being patient. That's kind of the theme down here for the Chance 2 race teams. They were the fastest car in happy hour, but Junior told me before the race, the best thing about the car, very consistent on the longer run. So I think he knew Harvick was faster, let him go. Probably, hopefully, if you're an 8-car fan or 81 car fan in this case, he'll pass him back later.
Well, we'll see.
There's that word you guys used earlier, patience. So Kevin Harvick, the second leader of the race. Earnhardt Jr. now second. Tony Raines third. Kenny Wallace fourth. David Green fifth. Followed by Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, Greg Biffle, David Stremme, and Kyle Busch, who is back to the number 10 position. There's David Green. And this is the race for 5th place as Casey Kane tries to close in on him. Been a tough season on David in this 37. They've had some engine problems on a number of occasions this year. I talked with David about that. He said it's just really held our program back this year. Case in point, they came here to Bristol to test a couple of weeks ago. And you're only allowed so many tests by NASCAR. You literally have to get a pass from NASCAR to come test. So they got their pass for their one-day test and showed up here and had an engine problem early in the morning, so only got about 20 laps of running in. And that was the engine they had with them. They didn't think they needed a spare for a one-day test, so they had to load up and go home and wasted that test.
You see where Kenny Wallace was able to get by Tony Raines, take over that 3rd spot. Matt, 23 looking pretty good right now.
VP, he's on the move. He hasn't won in 59 Busch Series starts. Trying to get some good luck going this year. Now, he came on the radio and told his crew chief Chris Rice that the front end is bottoming out. He goes, we know, we can see the sparks, but you are turning the best lap times of anybody in the top 5. He is slowly working his way to the front, chasing down Harvick.
Oh, boy, got a mess. Turn 2.
And we got the 8 car, the points leader in the outside retaining wall, along with Greg Biffle.
You and I were both watching that. We know what happened there.
I was trying to get the cameras over there because it was like, it's going to happen.
This was a case of Greg Biffle tangling with a lap car and then Greg Biffle trying to retaliate on the lap car. And when that happened...
Is that a loss of patience, maybe?
Possibly. At least that's my opinion. What do you think? Am I close?
No, I mean, that's what happens. And especially here, when you're a driver and you're racing other cars and you come up on another car that's running a lot slower, let's take a look at it.
Right, this is off of turn 4. Now, 39 cars left side wheels are down on the yellow line.
Wow. Man, Biffle did a good job.
Saving it there. That's on the front stretch.
And that's off of turn 2 a half a lap later.
Okay, so he retaliates and it cost him, and it may have cost Mark Truex. So that's the problem with, you know, doing that. Nothing she could have done on that. I mean,
on board Martin Truex.
That was just losing your patience. That's all it was.
So Truex Jr., the championship leader, with some damage in the second caution flag here at Bristol. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. At Bristol Motor Speedway, it's been action-packed so far for the NASCAR Busch Series. 2 cautions in the opening 30 laps of the race. The latest involving the championship leader, Martin Truex Jr., kind of caught up in a little mess, not of his own making.
You see these guys get all bottled up here. See Truex up high. And looks like Bivol just takes out the 39 car from the earlier deal. Unfortunately, took him out and did a lot of damage to the 8 car.
Truex has been on pit road. Marty?
That was Martin Truex's take on it, Wally. Exactly what you just said. For the 8 car, the championship leading team, there is left front fender damage. There's a hole in the left front fender. Water is up to 260. He said something does not feel right chassis-wise. They were going to try to get him up to speed as best they could. You see him weaving the car back and forth. That is trying to get a feel of the chassis underneath him. To him, something does feel broken. They are going to bring him back in this time and change 4 tires.
Well, yeah, what he's doing, he probably feels something wrong in the steering, so he's moving the steering back left and right, trying to pinpoint what that problem may be, because you don't want to run here if the steering feels bad.
Well, he made hard contact with the outside retaining wall, so obviously something bent.
Cleanup continues. We'll take a break from Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back live at Bristol Motor Speedway, getting set to go back racing in one more lap with the NASCAR Busch Series and Kevin Harvick, the race leader. How about our Stacker 2 NASCAR Busch Series track back? Bristol been a good place for first time NASCAR Busch Series career winners. BP's brother, Phil, got his first Busch Series win here. Rick Wilson, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Fuller, and one Martin Truex Jr., the current championship leader and subject of our focus here the last few minutes. Good place to get your first win.
Boy, Truex got a long way to go now. He's back in 32nd position.
But they kept it on the lead lap through the pit stops.
Green flag. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Top 2 guys cleared the 1 car of Casey Mears.
And Casey was on pit road.
Oh,
trouble. Bang, crunch.
Tony Raines, the 74 car, got in the back of the 1 car, Casey Mears, and almost turned him around, but a great job by Casey Mears. Saves it.
Casey lost a lap on the first caution. They had to pit, and they had a bolt out of the sway bar mount, and it cost him a lap. That's why he is down a lap early in the race. That was the report from Matt Yoakum.
There's that damage from the contact BP just mentioned, which happens a lot here in a restart. So when they get that accordion effect and guys are jamming on their brakes, and there's nothing you can really do because you're nose to tail on these restarts.
That would be Tony Raines running in 5th now after the little shuffle up. David Green got by him. There's your leader, Kevin Harvick, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. tracking him. Then Kenny Wallace a little bit back in 3rd. Then the lap car of Casey Mears, then David Green and Tony Raines. And Tony Raines is going to be kind of where the stack up is in the field now as his wounded machine gets pursued by the pack.
Yeah, and they are all over. Jamie McMurray taking a look right there. He's walked by. And they see the smoke, too. When you're sitting there following a car like that, you see the guy in front of you smoking, you want to get by him as fast as you can because you don't know if he may drop oil or blow a tire or wreck you. That's 38 car smoking.
Left front tires hitting the fender on the 38 car. Pretty severe smoke.
Casey Kane.
My guess is, yes, he's made contact with someone almost like the 74 car and knocked that fender back in on the tire.
That's cutting into it pretty good right there. And he sees that. Probably asking a spotter and his crew guys right now, how bad's the left front fender? Because believe me, that smoke is filling the inside of that car.
While we watch that, let me just mention that Matt Kenseth pitted on under that last caution and took on a set of tires.
That might mean he's trying to make it the rest of the way.
So he's all the way back in 25th place while we watch Kasey Kahne and see what's going to develop there. Kahne is in 9th place, and Tony Raines pounced upon by Jamie McMurray. And so McMurray goes to 5th, and Tony Raines to 6th. Greg Biffle's car back in the garage with damage as we watch Kyle Busch pick up 6th from Tony Raines, and the shuffle is on the 74 car. Let's get an update on Biffle from Marty.
Well, Alan, we were getting ready to talk to Greg Biffle, had the window net down, then Brad Pitt crashed on the track.
Tony Raines, Ron Hornaday.
I got the toe out knocked in, or knocked out because it was pushing real bad.
You got the left front tire flat right now.
After that last wreck.
Yeah, you have that left front damage. Although this place is not really aerodynamic, trust me, when every lap you put on a tire, with that big hole in the left front, it's not helping any. No. You're not getting any downforce on the front of these cars. And that's what he was talking about. The car was pushing, and it was going to get worse and worse.
And your 5th place man in points, Ron Hornaday, with damage. Here we go.
We got a little help on that deal.
Kasey Kahne got in the back of him, and I guess Robbie Gordon, was that he that ran in the back of the 2?
Didn't quite make it out, BP. We'll have to take another look at it in a minute. So, more trouble has gotten a couple of more of the front runners here in the early going at Bristol. Tony Raines and Ron Hornaday, both with problems.
The world's fastest half mile, the Bristol Motor Speedway, packed with people. What a beautiful sight that is, high atop the Speedway. And our championship leader, Martin Truex Jr., back in 21st. Kevin Manion, how bad is that damage on the car?
Well, it's not too bad. We're still good enough. I always like to tell Martin we're still good enough to win. We got quite a bit of nose damage, and aerodynamics isn't a big part here, but it's surely going to not make us any better through the corner, but I think we'll be okay.
Martin describes it as livable. Kevin said, it's what we've got. Race it, you can still win the race.
And that's the whole thing. You know, it doesn't look like a lot of damage, and if the tires are good, you're okay. But you really feel it when your tires are going down, then you really wish you had that fender perfect.
None of the front runners have come in and pitted under this caution. A couple of guys mid-pack have done so, and the cleanup continues. So let's take the opportunity and get a break while the race is a little bit slow. This caution when Tony Raines and Kasey Kahne tangled, Ron Hornaday tangled up as a result. Green flag as we come back live to Bristol on TNT. Kevin Harvick, the race leader, over Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kenny Wallace, Dave Green, and Jamie McMurray.
These guys up front, they can be patient. Back in here, as these cars, they're the guys that have to be impatient and try to get all the positions they possibly can. David's trimming, Kasey Kahne. Those guys are running back in 8th and 9th, although they're still okay. It's those guys back about 20th. They got to go.
A couple of updates while we watch this racing for position. Marty's report on Greg Biffle. It was trying to happen when the crash occurred. Biffle's car's been repaired. He's back on track. Biffle 22 laps down in 39th place. Remember, Biffle running all the Busch Series races this year. He's 4th in the championship. There is Biffle.
Not going to handle very well.
No, he's kind of minus some aero pieces like front fenders.
He is not going to have a fun rest of the evening.
Want to finish that up, Marty?
What I was trying to say is I tried to talk to him, but as soon as I got to the window and pulled the window net down, they had the car ready to go back out on the track. Then they had to come back down pit road. The right front was out of line. Kind of got that fixed as best they can. As you said, Wally, it's not going to be a very fun night for Greg Biffle, is it?
Yeah, he's going to be looking in his mirror quite a bit because he's going to have a lot of cars passing him.
So again, Biffle back in 39th place and 23 laps down to the race leader. Robbie Gordon pitted under that last caution. Robbie is back pretty good ways in 32nd place, and Casey Mears was the lucky dog in the last yellow, and he is now back on the lead lap in 33rd place. Here's a race for 4th, 5th, and 6th. David Green, 37, Jamie McMurray, 66, and Kyle Busch in the 5.
Busch's car looks pretty good. Looks like it can stay right down on the bottom. That's what you got to do at Bristol. If you can hook it on that line.
Busch trying to win a third straight NASCAR Busch Series race after taking victories at Indianapolis Raceway Park and Michigan. How about the 66 car? Let's hear about that. Dave?
Yeah, Alan, he talked to his crew during the yellow flag period right then and said it's really not too bad. Remember, he started in 7th position tonight after starting on the pole the last time he raced this car for Rusty Wallace. Just a little bit loose into turn 3, but overall, not bad. Marty?
Dave, our second place man in the championship, Kyle Busch, describes his car as A-OK into that caution. Very happy with it. They were a little tight in the center during the final practice yesterday. They've kind of gotten rid of that. They made one change this morning. Very happy with the car so far. And he is aware of what happened to Martin Truex Jr. He was right behind it when it happened. Talked about it on the radio with his crew. Knows that he's way behind him. Could be a big night for the 5 team in terms of the championship. Matty?
The 38 car, Casey Kane, he's running in the 7th position. Under the caution, pole crew chief Paul Andrews. The car was a little bit tight. They were concerned about the left front and the right rear quarter panel rubbing, but the rub has gone away on the left front. On their next stop, which they feel like will be their only stop tonight, they're going to pull out both fenders and make a chassis adjustment. He's had a great summer, 6 finishes of 7th or better this summer.
Yeah, they finally wore all the rubber off that left front tire, so that's when it stopped rubbing.
I'm sure that'd be comforting to him.
Man, these guys are going at it.
Yeah.
They're in traffic and they're nose to tail for position. And this is where you start losing. If you're going to lose your patience, PP, this is right now where you start losing your patience. If you're 5 car of Busch, I think Kyle thinks he's got a better car than Jamie. And it's hard to stay on a guy if you think you're better through. It looks like he's better through the center.
Well, see, he acts that way because he's taking a very aggressive stance, pulling up right behind the 66 car, trying to let him know, hey, man, I'm faster. Cut me some slack. Where the 25 car, he's very passive with his movement on these cars in front of him. It's like, okay, guys, you figure it out, and then I'll try to go with you.
But Mike, it's also Mike's first race in this car, so he doesn't want to make a great big mistake. He's driving the car great, and he's got to be, and he is using patience.
It's Mike's first race this year.
Well,
remember, he had practiced and qualified Biffle's car a couple times, but Dave, he's doing a solid job in that 25. Talking about Mike McLaughlin.
Crew Chief Harold Holly told me today that he knocked the rust off pretty well. The big change came on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, Jeff Green was the driver. They put Jeff Green's seat in the car, adjusted the car for Jeff Green. By 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, Mike McLaughlin was dropping his lunch plans and going to the shop to be fitted in this car. It's the same seat, but the cockpit has been adjusted for Mike.
And trouble in turn 2. That is J.J. Yaley in the Joe Gibbs 18, who got a little help around the corner, a little bit farther than he needed to turn. And the caution flag is out at lap 73. Oh, Kevin, your arm's going to be tired by the end of the night, but you know that going into Bristol.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's going to be worn out.
J.J. Yaley, 27-year-old out of Phoenix. Check it out.
Casey Atwood.
Yep.
Gets on the inside of, hits the 18, and around he goes, and he gets run in from behind by Stanton Barrett in the 91 car.
They all got away fairly clean with that one.
Okay, they're going to pit now, you think, fellas? What do you think?
176 to go.
I don't know. 25.
That's a little far.
Oh, that's right. This 250, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a little bit early.
Well, as we say that, here comes the leader across the commitment line.
Wow.
Now that's off of turn 2. Remember at Bristol, the 2 pit roads, and under yellow, you either go down the backstretch pit first and then come around the front stretch. Go ahead, Matt.
And the 23, Kenny Wollesen, looking for a second win here in Bristol. Since a touch loose, he was also bottoming out a little bit. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment on the 23 car as they go to work on the left side. The 37 also in, making a chassis adjustment. He's down and away. A long stop here on the 23.
Looks like it's a little hot, Matt.
And they pull some tape off that grill, trying to get a little bit more air in to cool it down. Dave?
Leader Kevin Harvick is in. The car is just a little bit loose in the middle of the corner. Doesn't want any changes to it right now. Perhaps a slight air pressure adjustment. 4-tire change for Kevin Harvick.
Earnhardt Jr., Jamie McMurray also in.
Boy, these pits are tight.
Go ahead, Marty.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the second place man. His car was tight. He said, I've got a very bad push. His crew will win the race off pit road. They tried to loosen the car up by taking a pound out of the right front tire. He said, I have a bad push. I can stay out if you want me to. Keep undo. The crew chief said, nope, let's bring it in this time.
McMurray had a long stop. I don't know if they made a bunch of changes. I'm sure Dave will let us know, but he was in there for 20 seconds.
So caution is out for the 4th time in the Food City 250. A bit of a mess off of turn number 2 that everybody got away pretty well from. Live at Bristol Motor Speedway, where the NASCAR Busch Series circulates behind the pace car once again. And our Aaron's pit summary. The after pit numbers a little bit shuffled up because there were some guys who have not stopped under this caution flag.
Earnhardt Jr. was clearly the best car of the cars that pitted off pit road, and the best he will start is 9th.
8 drivers did not pit under the yellow flag. Matt Kenseth is the new leader. Martin Truex Jr., Casey Atwood, Jason Leffler, Ron Hornaday, Robbie Gordon, Derek Cope, and Casey Mears all had pitted under previous yellows, stayed out on this one. They go to the top 8 spots. Then Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, David Green, Kyle Busch, and Kenny Wallace first off from pit road. Car is Travis Geisler. First car 1 lap down in 34th place. Lead lap cars trying to make it around him.
Oh, they're stacking them up. And there it goes, Robbie. Robbie Gordon.
Oh, look at McLaughlin.
Got him. Martin's out. He just drove 49 punted him.
Well, that didn't take long.
No, it sure didn't.
And that was right where I was talking about, those guys trying to work around the lap car.
49 is that they talked about on the radio is Derek Cope.
Wave that flag again, Kevin.
Man.
Go back to the trailer. We're done, okay?
Yeah, you are, Robbie. Look at that. All right. So watch, Hornaday and the lap car going to make some traffic coming off of turn 2, and the accordion is on.
And then Robbie had to check up a little bit, and when he checked up, Derek Cope didn't. Got in the back of Robbie and turned him around.
And McLaughlin and the 20 car Mike Bliss made some terrible contact behind those fellas.
So trouble once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Robbie Gordon, Mike McLaughlin, and Mike Bliss with some damage.
The prospect of a dance class can fill even a battle-tested warrior.
Hey, that this might explain it, but this is Bristol. I mean, normally you go to a Saturday night race and there's a full moon out. You get a lot of crashes and a lot of cautions, but this is Bristol. That's going to happen here anyway.
And it's Friday night. So, yeah, it's just Bristol.
What has put us under the 5th caution of this race already?
Well, the 36 car checked up to avoid hitting the 2 car. Robbie Gordon checked up, and Derek Coe behind didn't. And we see McLaughlin runs over the left rear of the 20 car Mike Bliss. Pretty good damage to both those cars.
Bristol Racing. Mike McLaughlin has been to pit road for repairs. Mike Bliss as well. And they still clean up the bits and pieces of metal and so forth that have been strewn by the accident cars. Michael Waltrip with a little ride through the accident scene. Wow.
Wherever you to win at Bristol, you must finish.
When those lights go down, just all heck breaks loose.
Fast and furious. We go so fast there.
It's just non-stop action.
You never get a break. Tires are spinning, the car's sideways, you're heading to the wall.
Whether you're the leader or running last, you could be a victim at any second.
It's an amazing place. It's my favorite race of the year. There's no other place like it.
An energy and intensity unlike any other race all year. The night race at Bristol, the Sharpie 500, tomorrow night starting at 7 Eastern here on TNT. Energy in this NASCAR Busch Series race tonight's been a little high, too. The bumping and banging and crunching. Robbie Gordon, the latest victim. Matt?
And we've caught up with Robbie Gordon behind the hauler. Robbie, what happened?
I don't know. I slowed up for lap traffic, 72 car. I don't know. We're running 4th or 5th or something like that.
Here's the replay, Robbie.
Just got turned by the 49, so I don't know. You know, it is what it is.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, nothing we can do about it now, is there, Robbie?
Except he owns that race car.
Yeah.
You got to pay to put it back together now. So Robbie Gordon done for the day. Joining Jeff Fuller, Mark Green, and Eric McClure, who have been retired. Green and McClure as of earlier accidents. And Fuller just ran a few laps and parked, as has been his team's MO for most of this season. And believe it or not, we still have some things to be picked up on the racetrack. All those cars banging off each other leave a lot of litter. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back for the restart in a minute.
Even close up, hair color should look natural. That's why today's Just for Men with X-Gray Science targets only the gray hair, replacing it with subtle tones that match your own color. In 5 easy minutes, vitamin-enriched Just for Men rejuvenates hair, brings back a
NASCAR Busch Series Racing from Bristol on TNT is brought to you by Stacker 2 Ephedra Free. Real people, real stories, real results. By the U.S. Department of Transportation. You drink and drive, you lose. And by Just for Men. More than a hair color, it's the Rejuvenator. And spray in 5 minutes looks natural. We are a half a lap away from the restart. Finally, after race control has admonished some of the teams that are coming on and off pit road to make repairs to their cars, that they're leaving pit road and dropping bits and pieces all over the racetrack.
This I don't understand. What? Get a guy that's 23 laps down with no fenders pulling up on the inside to try to get a lap back.
Talking about the 60 of Biffle.
Now he's just going to be in the way for 30 other guys.
The leader is Matt Kenseth. Martin Truex is up to second. And those guys did not pit on the caution before the last one. Casey Atwood is third, Ron Hornaday fourth, Derek Cope fifth. Then Casey Mears sixth. Then you get to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in seventh, who was first off pit road among the leaders earlier.
And Michael Waltrip is on pit road in the 99 car. And we use Truex. Oh, man, never seen Michael. Marty, when we got a flat tire?
Well, he has a flat tire, BP. That's one problem. But he got black flagged by NASCAR because he had something hanging off the rear bumpers. A lot of left rear damage on the 99 car. But he had a flat right rear, he thought. They rode under caution that whole time. He came in. As soon as the green flag came out, he was a little upset about the fact that that's when he was black flagged. Martin Truex Jr. now looks like he's in great shape. He's in second place. They're trying to work a deal with Matt Kenseth, the spotter Mike Kalanoff, trying to get him to pull over so that Martin can lead a lap and get those 5 bonus points that he needs so desperately tonight.
I don't know if you can do that here.
Not going to happen.
You pull over here and let a guy go, and you're going to get passed by 2 or 3 behind you.
Remember that Kenseth is a teammate of Greg Biffle, who's fourth in the championship standings. So why would Roush Racing give up 5 bonus points?
Yeah, that's like BP says. It's not going to happen.
But still, for Truex to have recovered to second at this point from where he was, remember that he was back in 32nd after getting swept up in the wreck with Biffle at lap 29.
When I saw the 8 car slam into the outside retaining wall, I said he's in trouble because I thought he'd hit hard enough that he would be unable to run nearly this fast. So got to give him my rejuvenating moment. What about you, Wally?
I think you're right, DP. I thought he hit the wall a lot harder as well.
I know it's early, but we need to give this out now, so we'll give it to Martin Truex. Tonight's Just for Men hair color rejuvenating moment of the race. There's your race for the lead. Matt Kenseth and Martin Truex Jr. out in front of third place Casey Atwood by a second and a half. Dave, how about the leader?
So far, Alan, they have not told him to pull over and let them lead a lap in the 8 car. And I just wanted to update him. He pitted on lap 36 during the caution flag for Greg Biffle, and they did have a flat left front tire. Talked to crew chief Kelly Bearclaw. They want to at least stay out and maybe pit last with 80 to go. That would be lap 170.
So there's the update on Kenseth.
I think that's going to be too long. I think that's going to be too late to pit.
I think you're right.
I think with about 125 to go, if they get a caution flag, these cars are going to be pitting and staying out the rest of the day and get in that track position.
By the way, you saw Michael Waltrip just in front of these leaders. Michael is the tail end of 2 laps down. He's 1 and almost 2 down to the race leader. Earnhardt Jr., 81. Kevin Harvick, 21, trying to make their way back up through the field. That was for 4th place on Casey Mears. And now Harvick for 5th. So Mears in the 1 on the older tires being shuffled back from those 2 others. These
cars a little
traffic.
Yeah, and some traffic, and Michael Waltrip is running pretty quick. He's able to stay in front of the 17 car, hoping that the caution flag would come out.
Michael's back bumper. Michael in 33rd place, the second car, 1 lap down.
They're coming up on a lot of traffic right now. This kid, wow.
Wow, that is, oh man.
Which way do you go? Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy Kitchen, the 77 car in front of Michael.
Jimmy, you're going to get run over. There it is.
Well, you saw that coming about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was, I got to go. I'm losing my patience. Watch out.
There's that P word again. And it results in another caution flag.
Yeah. Well, look at that. It's like a lot of damage to the 77 car.
And he's not going anyplace.
Jimmy really didn't have anywhere to go either.
When they don't back up or go forward, you got problems.
Where you see Michael right on the bottom, he wants to go, and he just got a better jump off the corner when he got on the gas. And
I guess the 17 got in the back of Michael and turned the 99 around.
Michael tried to get off the 77.
Yeah.
Caution is out once again here at Bristol. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back at Bristol, still working the cleanup from the 6th caution flag of tonight's race. After Jimmy Kitchens and Michael Waltrip kind of locked up off of turn number 4, and still towing Kitchens' car away from where it came to rest down the front side. Well, they come to see action. They have seen action tonight.
Yes, they have.
While we have a semi-quiet moment down on pit road, let's get an update from a couple of our guys. First, we'll start with Matt.
Under that last green flag run, Kenny Wallace actually had the fastest race car on the track. Under the last caution, the biggest concern was about the water temperature. It climbed up to 250. When he went to turn on one of the fan switches, it kept cutting off, so he had to take a piece of tape that was actually holding the brake bias knob in place and try to put it on that switch to keep that switch in the on position. Under the last green flag run, it dropped from 250 to 235. He says the car is very good, Marty.
Martin Truex Jr. in second, Matt. You got to remember he last pitted on lap 28. He realizes that his teammate and owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., is right behind him. And he said, I know the 81's faster than me. Who behind him is faster than me? And his crew chief, Kevin Mannion, said, you're going to have to let a couple of cars go, settle in about 6th or 7th. There are some cars behind you that are faster. Realize you have on the old tires. Be patient. That's the #1 word for these guys tonight. Be patient. Take care of what you have. Let's finish with what we've got. They still think they have a top 5 car.
And that's what they're looking for. Is what he's looking for is to see where he can get back in line and get back low, because you don't want to be hung up, especially on a restart. You just like being left out in the draft here at Bristol.
That same old word keeps coming up. No, not caution. Patience. Patience. That's what's causing the cautions. Still cleaning up. We'll come back for the restart. Hang on. Got a great lineup of college football coming to TBS this fall. First game's going to be the Houston Cougars taking on the #2 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Big 12 Pac-10 college football this fall on TBS.
I hope to have a great game. I don't have a dog in that hunt, so I don't care who wins.
Oh, it'll be a good one.
Yep.
Oklahoma's going to have a good team this year.
All right, we're going to see some action here in just a few seconds, because as you see, the pace car's pulling off. Matt Kenseth is leading. Mark Truex Jr. in second spot.
Green flag.
Now Truex got a good start there.
All right, now let's swing this ratio from green flag to caution flag laps a little more on the side of green, if you would, please.
Yes.
Nice.
Run 115 laps, run 47 of them behind the pace car so far. Well, never mind. Here's Kenny Wallace.
Oh, no. He had a great... Don't hit it.
Crunch.
Just hit it. Don't pull back up on the racetrack.
He was in 10th place.
And he had a good car
when he crossed the finish line sideways. And he's got a flat right front and a flat left front. And he's going to go all the way around the racetrack.
I'll tell you what, this racetrack, it just does not.
That's just typical of this place. I mean, you got to be lucky. You really have to be lucky to not. And I mean, more than likely he got hit.
I was going to say, is he going to pay a visit to somebody? Because he's passing cars under the caution flag, which is kind of a no-no.
To us this time. Come on to us this time.
That's Chris Rice, the crew chief,
Left
said.
side, boys. Pick up on it. Have a heart. After you get your tire on, come up there and pull up on the front of the nose.
Okay, just trying to get it back around to pit road.
Ron Hornaday's in the pits as well. That's Stremme?
David Stremme was the one behind him, yeah.
That's Kyle. Definitely got. Looks like he got hit. Yeah.
Who hit us?
I think he said the 32. Let's see what Stremme says about it.
Be careful here. Come on, come on, go, 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 go. Been checked up.
It all started up in front when the 1 and 2 were side by side, and I think the 37 tried to make it 3 wide. And when they started backing off, pretty soon you have the chain reaction, the accordion. Matt?
Well, BP, they just told Chris Rice that they're going to hold him for a lap for pulling up the pit. They changed the left side tires. Chris is yelling at the officials. Kenny's down and away, but he is pleading his case with officials. He disagrees with this call.
Yeah, but they didn't hold him, right?
Matt, did they hold him for a lap?
I don't think they did.
Yeah, the pace cars passed him, so.
He is pleading his case with another NASCAR Busch Series official. You can see Chris Rice, the crew chief for Kenny Wallace. He has gotten down off the box behind the pit here.
Well, you know, Matt, sorry to say, but as I called it the first time, he is kind of guilty there. He was on the apron of the racetrack passing cars under the caution flag instead of just
be able to race or not?
falling in where he was supposed to.
It's fine.
So, they'll plead that to no avail, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was the right call. They made the right call on that one.
And so back to 32nd place for Kenny Wallace.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, he is. You know, these guys put heart and soul into this. And when something happens that they don't agree with, you can see. Last week we saw Pat Tryson up in Michigan pleading the case for Mark Martin. Man.
The emotions of Bristol.
Officials have a very tough job.
And we see NASCAR calling the official and say, hold the 23 car. Now he's going to walk out in front of the car and hold him. See? Now this is when Chris and the boys get upset.
And you see the official over by the pit box calling Chris down from the box to tell him what the penalty's for. There's an official standing right behind the crew chief.
He was pointing at the right front wheel like there wasn't a lug nut on or something.
Well, that might have been in addition to everything else. So now Kenny's a lap down, so now he will pull up to the inside and try and get a lap back from Matt Kenseth, the race leader, or try and get the old lucky dog.
He's in position for the lucky dog. Not that we'll get a yellow.
You think? Michael Waltrip is 2 laps down. The car that was in front of Kenny Wallace in that outside lane, whom Kenny is going to try and pass right now.
He is going to pass.
Matt Kenseth is the leader. Martin Truex is second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. third. Kevin Harvick is kind of pinched back in traffic. He runs fourth, followed by Casey Atwood in fifth.
How about this comeback by Casey Mears in the 1 car? Currently in the 6th position.
Oh, dive into the inside.
Tight right there.
That's a good candidate for another yellow.
Yeah. Michael saw that coming too.
Yeah. So, second place has changed hands while we were watching all that. Dale Earnhardt Jr. around Martin Truex. So now Earnhardt Jr. chasing down Kenseth to try and grab the lead.
And Marty, this 81 car looks really, really fast.
Pretty awesome. I think the only car really in this league is Kevin Harvick's, but as you said, kind of back there in traffic is a 21 car. The 81 car, very fast, just a little bit tight. Junior very happy, trying to track down his buddy. Matt Kenseth, who drives that 17 car.
Jam here. Casey Mears through Casey Atwood for position. That would be for 5th. Here's David Green for 6th. Kyle Busch for 7th. 14 car, one of the guys who didn't pit a little while ago, Matt.
He's got a great run going tonight, working on his first career top 5 here at Bristol. Hung on the outside. He said that he just cannot get back in the gas when he needs to. 2 days ago, he celebrated his 24th birthday. They're talking about going down on the track or on his next stop. But back in 2000, this weekend, he sat down in turns 1 and 2 with Ray Evernham, and they watched the master at Bristol work Rusty Walls. Casey was trying to pick up when he would get out of the gas, when he would get on the brakes by looking at the brake rotors. He felt like that really helped him get a better education about how he needs to go fast here in Bristol.
Well, he just got hung out like we talked about, just like at Daytona or Talladega. You get up on the outside, and these guys were nose to tail, and you can't get down on a low line. He lost a lot of positions right there.
Atwood shuffled back to 14th. Kevin Harvick for 3rd. He's taken it away from Martin Truex. Harvick's got some damage on the right rear. Harvick in the 21 led a lot of the early going from lap 21 to 74.
Where'd that come from? I don't remember that. Where'd the damage on the 21?
It could have been any of them,
okay,
right?
I thought I missed something.
And Kenny Wallace, as we ride along with him in the Stacker 2 car, he is the first car 1 lap down should their caution flag wave, and I can imagine if not waving, he would be the recipient of the lucky dog.
So this might not work out all that badly for Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny's driving like he's not happy because...
What, you think?
He's not happy.
I wonder why that would be. Martin Truex Jr. in front of Kyle Busch for now as far as the championship contenders are concerned. There's Kyle slipping around David Green. That'll be for 6th place. Let's get an update on Kyle Busch's run.
Well, he pitted on lap 75 with all the leaders out when his car was tight. Then they took some wedge out trying to loosen him up. Now it's 2 loose in and 2 loose off. The greater concern is when they are under caution, like a lot of these race teams, the temperature on the water shoots way up for the 5 car. It was 260 under the last caution. A little bit of concern. Doesn't help the engine, but hasn't hurt it so far.
Yep, on the caution flag, they're not running fast enough. Oh, the battle for the lead. Kenseth goes back to 2nd as Junior. The 81 car back in front.
Well, that didn't take long. He just left him.
Anyway, the cars don't go fast enough on the caution flag to get air through the grill to cool them off.
Trouble with McMurray here as he hits pit road. He was running the top 10 too.
Yep. So new leader is Earnhardt Jr. back out in front. And Matt Kenseth shuffled back to 2nd, Dave.
He was reporting that his car was just a little bit tight on the throttle, so that's what was holding Matt up. Plus his tires were a little bit older than Junior's.
All right, so that's the story on Kenseth. Remember that Matt pitted back at lap 33, and Earnhardt Jr. and the rest of them pitted at 74. Mike Wallace has been kind of getting used up here. He's had about 5 guys bump and run him in the last 20 laps.
Okay, this has been very close racing. Casey Atwood in front of Mike. That's it, Mike Wallace in the 4, and then he gets buffed behind by Paul Menard in the 11th, and Menard loses the spot to the 59 of Stacy Compton.
Here goes Carl Edwards, 3 underneath.
Check out the shape of the back bumper on Mike Wallace's 4 car. It was straight across about 25 laps ago. Now it's kind of like a U from several different people's front bumpers inserting themselves, making an imprint there. That's all back for about 14th place where Mike Wallace runs in the 4. Compton trying to find a way around. Talking about guys who need good things to happen. That 59 team, Stacy Compton, they have had a struggle this year. Had a great run out in Pikes Peak where they came up with a 2nd place finish, but other than that,
boy, Stacy's doing everything he can to get just underneath Mike.
They turn left. No.
There's the bump and run.
And meanwhile, we see Mike Bliss get by the 11 car of Menard.
well, I shouldn't say. But you know what color the flag is that we've been under for a little while here.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are going to be stopping pretty soon, aren't they, Benny?
And the front runner's going to get into some traffic now, which could make things kind of interesting. There's Earnhardt Jr. up on Travis Geisler. You know, these lead cars want to hug the bottom, but so don't the lap cars. So who's supposed to give way to what? Normally, the lap cars stay to the bottom at most tracks.
Yes. That's right. And there goes Junior to the outside, the way it's supposed to be done.
But it's hard to pass up there on the outside, even when it is a car that's a lap down.
I said the way it's supposed to be done in a perfect world, but this place is far from perfect.
Now we're working around Steve Grissom, former two-time winner here at Bristol, in the 24 car to put him a lap down.
And boy, if your car's tight, it's really tight if you got to pass somebody on the outside. Hard to get through the center.
So Earnhardt Jr. holding off Kenseth as they ease their way through some of the lap cars. They've lapped up to now 27th place. That was where Steve Grissom runs. And next ahead of them will be the 74 of Tony Raines. Mentioned Jamie McMurray was on pit road a minute ago in the 66 car. Unscheduled stop there, Dave.
Actually, I owe you a couple of reports on Jamie McMurray. Early on, he went way back. Wally, you commented on it. They had a gun, one of the air wrenches jammed, and they had trouble on one of the tires. He came in just moments ago because he had loose lug nuts and a bad vibration on the right front tire. So guess which gun went bad? The front gun on that stop. They had plenty of issues.
Man, oh man.
Well, there's your leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. As we come up on lap 152 of 250. Earnhardt Jr. trying to make it 2 wins and 3 Busch Series tries this season. Bristol Motor Speedway tonight, watching the NASCAR Busch Series in the Food City 250. Contact racing at its best. It has been that way so far. Here's your leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., closely pursued by Matt Kenseth, working his way around Mike McLaughlin to try and put the 22nd place driver a lap down.
And that 21 car is not far behind him. Kevin Harvick is catching him.
These guys like McLaughlin and cars like that, they obviously will race Earnhardt Jr. harder than they will any other car because he is the leader. They want to try the best to stay in front of him to get that lap back in case the caution flag would come out. When Harvick comes along the 21 car, they don't put up nearly as much resistance as they do for the 81.
Tim Feederman, 21st place car.
Oh, he got trouble up in turn 4.
Travis Geisler, Ron Hornaday. And the yellow flag is out for the 8th time in the race. Well, now this is going to make it interesting for some pit strategy here.
Yeah.
86 to go.
Coming in, get 4 if I have 4. Topping it off.
I think all cars have 4 tires, and I think now would be a very good time to stop and change those tires. And Hornaday, he spun back in turn 3. I didn't think he was going to get to the Geisler car, but as you can see, he did.
Second incident he's been involved in tonight.
He's having a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah. Here we go. Little help.
Little help by Jason Leffler. Hornaday spins. I think he's going to miss, but
and I think he got a little help too.
This is on board Michael Waltrip's car. Oh, there we go. The 66 car.
Go high, go high, go high, go high.
When the 2 car backed off because of the spun car, 66 runs in the back of it. All right, now who's going to pit? Let's see. Going by the entrance.
They got to be coming in, huh?
Not Junior.
Wow.
Oh, pit road's closed. That's why the red flag is still waving over there.
Say they have to be coming in.
Yeah. That would explain it.
That would be bad strategy, I think.
So we got a second here before they get back around. There he is. That is right in between turns 1 and 2, right smack in the middle of it.
Okay. He's put the red flag back.
That's off of turn 4.
Yeah.
BP, let's talk about the pit road procedure under caution here at Bristol.
Yeah, I still don't understand it.
Well, all right, they're going by the front straightaway. The cars have to enter here come down this pit road, all the way around the apron on the bottom. If you're pitting on this side of, that's the way you've got to come on the caution flag. No matter if you're pitting on the front or back, you've got to make 3/4 of a lap on the bottom.
But if it's green,
it's on green, you can come in here, or here.
It's a way of trying equaling up the front and backstretch pit areas and the discrepancy between the two that had existed before. They did this, and it works out pretty well. Go ahead, Matt.
David Strebe peels off in the 32 car for service. His car was tight earlier in that run, but he went a little bit to the free side in the center, so they're going to make an air pressure adjustment in the left rear tire. A nice solid stop going on by the Trim Spa guys. Today,
bottom of your screen, Kevin Harvick in the 21 car. He is tight in the center of the track. Also needs some forward bite off. They'll make an air pressure and wedge adjustment for Kevin. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth, center of your screen, just wants 4 tires, a bit of a stagger adjustment. He's a little bit tight. Marty?
Dale Earnhardt Jr., top of your screen, comes in as a leader, making his 4th Busch Series start of the year, trying for win number 2. He says the car is just a little bit tight. Half round of wedge out of the left rear, half round of wedge into the right rear. And again, the 81 bunch wins the race off pit road.
You know what? The only reason he won is because Harvick got blocked.
And because he's pitting in that number 1 pit spot.
Yeah. But Harvick's guys had a great pit stop, and the 03 car came in as Harvick was leaving, and Harvick had to completely stop.
So Earnhardt Jr. holds on to the top spot on the exchange of pit stops. There are 82 laps to go. Under caution after Travis Geisler and Ron Hornaday spun.
Freeze!
The lights are on. The sparks have been flying for the NASCAR Busch Series tonight here in Thunder Valley. Under caution with 80 laps to go. And a new leader. It's J.J. Yeley by not pitting under this caution. You were pointing something out under the yellow there in the pit stops.
I was watching these guys during the pit stop, and they had a great pit stop for the Reese's car here, Kevin Harvick. But when he got done with his pit, you'll watch here when he's leaving, Carl Edwards comes in. Harvick has to lock the brakes up, and I'm telling you what, that was the only difference why he didn't come out first, I think, because that cost him about a second and a half.
So Harvick behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the restart, but importantly, he did get Matt Kenseth on the pit road, so that's one less he's got to pass on the racetrack. Although not beating Earnhardt Jr. out could have changed the whole, I mean, if he had gotten out in front of him, could have changed the whole dynamic of the race.
Well, the whole dynamic's changed now because you got a guy that stayed out, you've got lap cars on the bottom. It's going to get ugly.
Like it hasn't been already?
I think it's going to get uglier.
Oh, it's getting ugly just trying to line up for the restart over there.
Figure out where you're supposed to be.
Jamie McMurray is 2 laps down, basically, in the 66. J.J. Yeley for Joe Gibbs leads in the 18 by not pitting under this caution.
And McMurray is going to try to get in front of him, stay in front of Earnhardt. That's going to open up the inside for Earnhardt Jr. Contact.
Earnhardt doesn't bounce it out of the way first.
Yeah, outside, clear.
Man, Matt, what's going on with Yeley?
Well, BP, they felt like they had a great opportunity to go to victory lane, get away from them earlier this summer. They're staying out, going to roll the dice. They feel like track position will win out. They're going to try to hold on and see what they can get.
They got a long way to go. They do.
And they got some very fast race cars right behind them.
Who's that?
Somebody's smoking big time off the corner over there.
Is that Stan Barrett, I think?
Ooh, this is getting tight.
That's Jason Keller, 22. Casey Kane, 38, 4th position. Michael Waltrip in the 99 and McMurray in the 66 are not racing 4th position with these other guys.
McMurray's getting beat up a little bit here.
That is Stan Barrett, the 91 car.
We got trouble. Travis Geisler in the 36.
This 36 car's had a long evening.
And McLaughlin spins once again on the about the same spot he had trouble earlier.
Get it rolling, buddy. Come on. All right, keep it. Get it rolling.
And Paul Menard did not fare so well under this.
What happened?
Man, boy.
It looks like the 36 car hit the apron and shot it back up the racetrack. Did you see it different?
I just saw the Menards pound that outside retaining wall.
Boy, he hit hard. Watch this.
Yeah, Yeah, the 36 car got on the apron, got loose, and shot him up the racetrack.
Under caution. We'll be back. Dell Cup Series in the night race at Bristol, the Sharpie 500. Join us on TNT, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, beginning with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Wally's going to show you the goods and not goods of the bump and run, among other things.
How you getting away with it? How you don't?
Well, I'll tell you that the spotters on the roof have a tough job. Those light poles attract bugs.
Gary Bell's fanning all he can, trying to keep the bugs off.
I wonder which one's his favorite flavor.
The green silk-tailed moth. Yeah. They're still cleaning up debris on the racetrack. Let's take another break ourselves and squeeze one in while we have the chance under yellow. J.J. Yaley, the leader at Bristol. After Valley tonight, they've been bouncing and beating and banging each other on the racetrack here right from lap number 1.
We didn't expect anything different with Robbie Gordon.
Well,
Michael Waltrip.
Maybe we expected to get a few more laps of green flag racing.
Yeah. And there's the moon.
Yeah, it's been a caution flag kind of night so far. This is the 9th yellow, by the way. We're still not even close to the record, so we'll let you know if we close in on it a little more. Matt?
Alan, walking in this morning, I was talking to J.J. Yaley. He said, we were horrible in practice, but then again, we were horrible in our test session. The car we brought back, we thought we could make some adjustments and actually make that car better, but we have been fighting all kinds of issues. They are staying out. In fact, he said to his crew chief, Doug Hewitt, is this race almost over? And Doug said, sorry, bud, I wish I could say it is, but we've got a lot of laps, and you've got driver 81 behind you in your mirror. Marty?
That is an intimidating sight in itself. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said the car is better than it was. Not quite as free at the beginning of the run as it had been earlier in the day, but still pretty happy. He said, I'm the only one that can run the bottom as hard as I want, Dave.
21 car is very good, according to crew chief Ricky Byers. Right rear damage, not hurting. Kevin's not exactly sure what he has yet. Tire pressures haven't quite come up for that report.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go again.
Yes, sir, again.
Restart's going to be with 65 laps to go. Michael Waltrip will be the first one to the inside of the leader, trying to get one of his laps back.
The guys with good tires or better tires in the back, Earnhardt back.
And for the lead, taking advantage of the door opened by Waltrip, Earnhardt Jr. is through.
And Yaley is going to get used and abused as he loses 3-4 spots.
J.J. Yaley, the USAC Triple Crown winner. Means he won the championship in the sprints, the midgets, and the Silver Crown cars, all in the same year. What an accomplishment.
Actually still in 4th spot, but he's about to lose that to Kyle Busch. Kurt's little brother.
You know what he's thinking about right now? Tires.
Yeah, I wish I had some tires.
I wish I had some tires like everybody else.
Well, he pitted at 109. Everybody else pitted at 168, so that's quite a bit of difference. So the leader is now Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Kevin Harvick up to second. You watch Kyle Busch trying to pick his way through the traffic. He is a couple of spots in front of his title rival Martin Truex. And now we watch Earnhardt Jr. working through Michael Waltrip's lap car.
We see Mike Bliss going to the garage area, pit area, on the bottom of the racetrack.
Now it's going to get good.
Yes, it is.
And Harvick, Darren Kenseth, and man, Kyle Busch all of a sudden is in the picture.
Where did he come from? Man.
He came from Las Vegas.
I think Harvick.
Trouble.
I was going to say.
Ashton Lewis looks like. Yes, it is.
Caution flag is out.
I don't think he hit anything.
Yeah, he got away with that one. That's a rarity.
How in the world did he do that? And we see the rubber on the left rear fender kind of tells the tale as to what might have happened to send him spinning.
Let's see where Ashton was last lap. He was in 27th place.
Looks like Mike McLaughlin just touches him in the left rear coming off the corner, and watch this. Right by that wall.
Oh, you couldn't get any closer to that.
Man.
That's lucky.
That's cool. That was close.
So Ashton rejoins, though he'd probably like a fresh set of tires if he could. Though he's taken all he can under the caution flag, so might have to ride it out. 59 laps to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. This yellow flag, the 10th of the race tonight.
St. Mikey, we're the only two brothers to win the Daytona 500.
Team with the NASCAR Busch Series, Food City 250, 55 laps to go in a race that has seen 60, now 70 of the 195 laps run behind the pace car. It's been kind of rough. Coming to the green flag this time with Dale Earnhardt Jr. now out in front. 4 drivers have led tonight. Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, and J.J. Yeley. This is the 4th different occasion tonight on which Earnhardt Jr. has paced the field. Marty?
Alan, they were advising him on Kevin Harvick being just about as fast as he was, and Junior said, I don't know, our car is pretty doggone good. That's about the best it's been all night long on that run right there, guys.
Okay, we'll see, and that's why we have these things. That's why we've got 55 more laps to determine who's the fastest.
Kenny Wallace, the lucky dog on this last caution. He's back on the lead lap. 20 cars now in the lead lap as we go back at it.
Harvick and Earnhardt. 274 of Reigns and Kenseth almost.
Remember, Tony Raines started on the outside pole for this race, was involved in an incident earlier that damaged his car. He's now the first car 1 lap down and trying to stay there in front of Ron Hornaday right behind him in the 2. Those 2 cars now racing for the lucky dog pass at the next caution, if there is one, which there probably will be based on tonight's track record.
I think that's a safe bet.
David Stremme, 32, 5th place. Truex Jr. in the 8 in 6th. And David Green in the 37, chasing them.
And this surface on this racetrack is concrete, and there is some bumps on this racetrack.
These cars move around and twist and bump, and it's a busy racetrack on a chassis.
That was a camera on Stremme's car.
Working the lap car of Kevin LePage in the 72.
Watch the tire. Watch how much the tire flexes.
And the spring almost collapses, almost coil binds it. The coils almost hit each other.
I don't think you want to see that as a driver.
And the sway bar arm is hitting the racetrack down in the corner, just touching the track.
That's a lot of travel.
Yeah, it looks like that spring is coil binding, doesn't it? There's not much coil left in it.
Boy, it's right there. You got to get these cars down to the racetrack. Everything is being built higher and higher on the cars so you can get these cars down lower, makes them grip better.
So Stremme running along in 5th position in the trim spa car and having a really good night. Best finish for Stremme this season so far was a 2nd place run at Milwaukee.
When we see on the shock, we see the brake reflection of the brakes as they get hot. You see the red, that's from the rotors glowing.
So there's the Stremme car, full view.
I told you that was the brake rotors that we saw the reflection on the shock control with that red. We have a brake cam on the 23 car, the Stacker 2 car. Kenny must not be using the brakes.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, there we go. See the rotor turning red.
He's not using them much.
Oh, he isn't. I'm impressed.
And that's a good handling race car if you don't have to use a lot of brake here.
Stremme is using some brakes.
Kenny is good here. This is one of his best tracks. This in Richmond, I think.
Yeah, I think if he can get through some of these slower cars.
That's Jay Sauter that's trying to get behind the 75 car.
I think he can be a threat to win this thing.
That's the battle for the 18th position.
A lot of track position now between him and Earnhardt.
So there's Kenny back in the 19th spot. And up front, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has pulled away from 2nd place, Kevin Harvick. Change for 3rd, while we were riding on board with those cars, Kyle Busch has gotten around Matt Kenseth and is closing in on Harvick quickly, Marty.
And now 5 spots ahead of his championship rival, looking under Kevin Harvick for the 2nd position. They just came on the radio, said the car looks awesome, buddy. Nobody can hang with you. A little skatey before the last stop, loose off. That didn't change much. 1 round down on the track bar, and the wisdom of a 19-year-old. He came on the radio under the last caution, said, can you guys remind me to take an aspirin before I race at Bristol next?
Got a spin. Carl Edwards off turn 4. Caution flag is out.
Well, Carl learned how to win here at Bristol on Wednesday night. And
25 got loose on the inside. You got loose, come up and hit you in the left rear quarter.
And now he learned how to spin.
And he learns that people hit you in the left rear corner. We see the damage back on the left rear.
So Carl falls back to 20th place.
That was McLaughlin on 25 that got in the left rear of the 03.
Take a ride with him.
And inside.
And you know what? Well, he never expected
Hold
that.
your brake, hold your brake, hold your brake.
Yeah,
All
don't.
right, come on, if you can, roll if you can.
No, that's a surprise. Not a very nice surprise, but at least he didn't hit anything.
A minute. I've already done this once this weekend. What's the penalty?
So caution number 11 is out here at Bristol with 37 laps to go. We'll be right back.
Wherever you...
NASCAR Racing from Bristol on TNT is brought to you by Aaron's. Let Aaron's drive your dreams home today. By Trim Spa X32, your dream body diet pill. Trim Spa BNV. By Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash. Never dry your car again. And by Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly, this is the High Life. Huge crowd tonight on hand watching the NASCAR Busch Series bash their way around the Bristol Bull Ring. Like that alliteration? Good term. There you go. And we're coming to the 1-to-go signal now for leader Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I'm sure there's well over 100,000 people here tonight watching this event. The seats are 160, and yeah, there's some empty spots, but not a lot.
Not many, that's for sure. They've been here all week, camping in the motorhome lots, so on. And of course, the culmination to it all is the Sharpie 500 tomorrow night, where all 160,000 of those seats will be full. Or they'll be sold, let's put it that way. The people may be standing in front of them. 7 o'clock Eastern time, we start with Discover Card Countdown to Green. And we'll see how this race to the chase plays out with all the crashing and banging and so forth here at Bristol tomorrow night. It could get tense.
All right.
Afraid it will. All right, Junior, last time drove away from Harvick. The tires have cooled just a little bit.
Green is out, green is out.
Kevin LePage was the lap car trying to get back around the leader at the restart. Earnhardt Jr. and Harvick clear him. Now 3rd place Kyle Busch working the traffic.
Whoa. Kyle Busch came down and cut it a little bit too close on the 72 and almost spun himself out.
So 32 laps to go. And the question is, can anybody do anything with that 81 car?
I guarantee you everybody's driving their butt off right now as hard as they can.
Under the last caution, Casey Kane took his car off the track. The point is, he is done for the race with a mechanical failure.
Pretty good battle between Strim in 32 and David Green in 37, and the NASCAR Series points leader, Truex, in the 8.
That'd be for 5th, 6th, and 7th. In and around some of the lap cars. I'll tell you what, it's been a tough night for a lot of people in the top of the NASCAR Busch Series point standings, except for the top 2. Truex and Busch both hanging in there in the top 10. But Ron Hornaday's had a tough night. Greg Biffle's had a tough night.
David Green gets by Strimmy, takes over that position, goes in the 5th.
Strimmy's car looks like he's really sliding through the corners. Can't keep that car down on the bottom, so he's probably going to lose the spot to Martin Truex here pretty soon.
Marty, how is the 8 car now, Marty?
BP, that is one frustrated young man inside that 8-race car in the 7th position right now. He lost a couple of spots a moment ago. The car has been tight since that earlier wreck, and the toe is knocked out. What that means is when Martin holds the steering wheel straight, the tires are not going straight. About a half-inch of toe knocked out. Kevin Manning just told him, if we finish in the top 10 at Bristol with a half-inch of toe knocked out after having wrecked, we deserve a gold medal. This is going to be a good night. Don't get down on yourself.
It's back at lap 29. Greg Biffle tangled with a lap car, and Truex ended up getting caught up in it. Fell back to 32nd place at the time. Did not hit at lap 74 when the other leaders did, and that got him his track position back, and he's held on ever since up near the front of the field. It will be a good point night for Truex and the Chance 2 team.
Yeah, I thought those guys were done after I saw them hit that wall. I mean, I thought they were going to just be riding around the back.
That's what I thought. He'd finish about 25th, but here he is, currently in the 7th position. So they have made the most of this night.
Looking at the NASCAR Busch Series Championship and the way it's unfolding this year. After tonight, there are 10 races to go. It's pretty well come down to a 2-driver race, as well as the chase for the championship is being received on the Cup side. What would you think about extending that to the NASCAR Busch Series in future years?
I'd vote for it in a minute.
You're asking us?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I think it'd be great. I think it's a great format. It's very exciting. Heck yeah.
Here's a race for 3rd. Matt Kenseth trying to get back around Kyle Busch. Matt Kenseth had a pretty solid night, Dave.
Yeah, but I don't think he can win, Alan. His car is just too tight in the middle of the corners. He has to wait on it before he jumps back in that gas. And guys, you talked about that earlier. If you can't get right back on the gas, you're in trouble.
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with, I think that goes to show you just how good that NASCAR Nextel Cup drivers are, because right now the first 3 cars, Earnhardt Jr., Harvick, Kenseth, all driving the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Kyle Busch, the 5 car, the first regular on the NASCAR Busch Series. And I tell you what, he's fighting an uphill stream trying to beat these guys. They're such fantastic race drivers.
Kyle Busch has chopped some of the gap, his deficit to Martin Truex, down in the last couple of weeks. The championship between the two, the gap was, where's my note here? The gap was as much as 142 points. And now it's down to 97 starting tonight, and it's going to close up a little bit more. Marty?
It's knocked 45 off in the last 2 weeks, as you talked about, Alan, with those back-to-back wins. But I talked to Kyle earlier about the championship today, and he told me, it's not going to be consistency that wins a championship like it is in the Nextel Cup Series. It's going to be the team that doesn't have a problem coming down to the end of the season, and that's what we have to be good at. We have to finish races. We have a 10th place car finish 10th, and there's another caution flag out, Alan.
Notice every time we talk to Marty, we have a yellow.
I think that's true, Wally. I'll just stop talking.
And that, don't give us that kind of opening for a comeback, Marty. And that happened right in front of Martin Truex. Hermie Sadler got turned around, and this would be the 12th caution of the race. Now we're starting to get close.
Now we're getting close to the all-time record.
Most in any race this season. We're getting close to the record here at Bristol.
Well, I'm sure Earnhardt didn't want to see this because he was pretty much gone. He had checked out.
And it's going to give Harvick one final shot at him.
I think Harvick got enough by the looks of it on the last 2 restarts.
I'll tell you what, that right rear quarter panel on the 21 car certainly isn't helping things out there, catching all that air down the straightaway.
Coming into your picture from the right.
It looks like that Casey. Oh, who that was?
Casey.
Was it Casey Mears?
He's back out there.
Yeah. He had gone behind the wall for some further repairs on his car a little while ago. He's out there 51 laps down in 35th place is Casey Mears. And now Hermie Sadler is turned around, and we're under the yellow flag for a 12th time. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led 4 times tonight for 106 of the 237 laps that have been run. Held the lead on an exchange of pit stops when Kevin Harvick got blocked in by another car at lap 168. and has made the most of his track position so far. Harvick not able to hang with Earnhardt Jr. in this last stretch of race. What do you think? Can he do anything with him in the final 13 laps, Dave?
We'll find out from crew chief Rick Byers. Now, Rick, he hasn't said much on the radio. What do you think he's got? Can he win?
Well, right now he just says that he's just a little bit tight in the center, and that's where Earnhardt's beating him. Hopefully we can get a restart here and maybe put a little pressure on him.
You're glad for this yellow?
Yeah, we need to get a little bit closer and get a good restart.
Okay, they make up some time right there, guys.
Got to get a little bit closer on the restart. Wonder what that means.
We've never seen like a bump and run here at Bristol before, have we?
12 laps to go. If they throw the green on 239, what they're going for the trophy. But if they wait a couple of laps, it'll be a single file restart. That would help Dale Earnhardt Jr. Matt, what you got for us?
We'll regroup. Matt is getting in position to give us a report in a moment.
Got you.
So pace car out in front now for a 78th lap on the night tonight.
He gets the 5 points.
No, Earnhardt Jr.
No, okay. It's close then.
It's close. Dave, how about Matt Kenseth?
We're going to squeeze in here with Cully Barraclough right now. What do you think? He seemed like it was too tight in the middle last time I heard him, but what do you think?
Well, every time we get a little bit of a run going, the car gets better as we go along, but we just can't get a long enough green. But not a lot of time left. He's just going to do the best he can, and we'll go from there. Go on to California.
There you go, guys.
So Kenseth sitting in third place. It's been a night where experience has shown itself well, at least up front. I don't know, maybe experienced or Cup-affiliated teams might be a more appropriate theme there, huh?
I think experience is probably the key word there. Knowing what they want in the field for the race car, telling the crews, being able to tell the crews what to do to make the adjustments to make the cars better.
All right, 1 to go when they come to the line.
And it will be 10 laps to go, so therefore the cars will all start in a single file line. We will not have the lap cars on the inside.
I'm glad they do that. I don't know if it worked out that way or whatever, but I'm glad it's just a shootout with no lap cars in the way.
Martin Truex has had kind of a tough night. Listen.
I can say that much. Doing a good job of avoiding them because you still got a car rolling around unlike other people. Coming outside will be a lucky dog car outside.
I've been a magnet for Rex tonight.
Yep. Talking to Joey Meyer, the spotter on the 8 car.
So here we go with 9 laps to go. Your championship leader Truex showing in 7th spot. His title rival Kyle Busch showing in 4th. Big brother Kurt will go for a 4th straight win at this racetrack tomorrow night in the Sharpie 500. 7 o'clock Eastern on TNT. And your leader's Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Kevin Harvick chasing him and coming down for what could be a final restart.
That's a good restart by Earnhardt. He didn't let Harvick get close enough.
Oh, man, Harvick drove that car in turn 3, but he's got to be a little bit defensive as well because he has a 17 looking on the inside.
Sure does. Wow, very strong to second.
And now chasing after Earnhardt Jr.
And he's catching him.
7 to go. Kyle Busch now putting pressure on Kevin Harvick for 3rd. Harvick looks so strong for a lot of this race, like he was the only one that had anything for the 81 car of Earnhardt Jr.
And Kenseth that last time, faster than Junior.
He's going to have to hurry.
Here comes Kyle Busch for 3rd.
In the right spot, and here comes Green trying to take advantage of it, but couldn't get there quick enough.
You know what, that was a pretty impressive move by that young man in that 5 car to get by Kevin Harvick with just a few laps to go.
And got him another 5 points between himself and Truex in the championship.
Exactly.
So Kevin Harvick fading in these final laps. Now 4 to go for Earnhardt Jr. His advantage over Matt Kenseth has actually grown a car length or so in these last couple of laps. And we continue to watch Kyle Busch race for 3rd. There's the gap 1st to 2nd.
Man, that 17 car, he is driving that car into those corners.
Oh, Crash over turn 3.
Jay Sauter, Tony Raines. And the caution flag is out.
I'll tell you what, I think the 75 car hit the wall pretty good over there.
You know what that means. 3 to go.
We are going to overtime.
Yes, we are. Wow.
See Jay Sauter working on the window net to get it down. He will probably be disappointed to be this close to the finish and on the lead lap and wind up with a wrecked race car.
Let's see if we can see.
Almost like he just lost it there. Got maybe down on the apron, got it loose. Hard to see on that angle.
I don't know. The left rear tire is flat, but I think when Raines made contact with him, he probably cut that left rear tire down.
So tough luck for Jay as he works to extricate himself from the safety equipment in the car. Talking about overtime, of course, NASCAR with the new green-white checkered finish rule. Normally this race would have ended under caution with the yellow out and wrecked race cars on the track this close to the finish, but not anymore. We'll make one shot at trying to give the fans a green flag finish here.
There's the other guy in the wreck, and he look at the back of the car. See some smoke.
I think their fender's rubbing the right front.
No, that's the right front, yeah. I don't know, you think?
Yeah. I would.
Thing looks like it's pointed to the right too.
I would suggest that he not run too fast on these last 2 laps of the race.
Got a lot of toe out.
If he makes it that far.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s got a green-white checker. He's got to hold off the competition for now, huh, Matt?
He's got to hold off his old buddy Matt Kenseth from the Busch Series days. Well, can your man hold him off? He's done a pretty good job of it so far.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see here. We got a green-white checker to go. Car's been good right off the trailer, so he's really made it pretty easy on me this weekend.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been second here on 2 separate occasions. Would love to put this Busch car into victory lane.
Hey, Matt, I don't think that guy's from around here, do you?
BP, another one of those northern guys that moved south, Pete Rondeau.
Yep.
You can tell by the old accent.
Oh, yes.
Dave?
Matt Kenseth reported 2 runs ago that his car was better on the long run than on the short run. Then on this last run, his car was very good at the start and then fell off. And gentlemen, we don't have very many laps left, so it could be turning Kenseth's way on this car that seems to go back and forth.
Tell you what, he looked awfully good on the restart that we had just about 10 laps ago.
It's going to be hard to beat that 81 car of Earnhardt Jr. He has been tough.
Yeah.
So green-white checker coming up. What that means is when the track is cleaned up and we're ready to go racing, they wave the green flag. At the end of the first lap, the white flag. At the end of the second lap, the checkered flag. If the caution flag comes out anywhere in there, then the race is going to be over. That is NASCAR's version of overtime.
And this race was scheduled 250 laps. Well, it'll be whatever it is, because right now they're 251 and haven't given the signal for the resumption of this race, so we'll probably run about 255 laps tonight before it's all over.
And leaders all pitted at 168, so there's plenty of fuel on board. Yeah, it's not even a question here at Bristol. I had a feeling when they first announced the green-white checker thing that one of the places it would probably come regularly into use would be this place.
Yeah.
And we'll probably see it tomorrow night, too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. Brickyard 400, the only place it's happened so far, when we ran 161 laps instead of the scheduled 160.
And you can see that fuel is not even an option tonight. It's not a problem, but imagine if you had to run 3 or 4 extra laps at, say, California Speedway, where we're going next week.
Exactly.
Extra 5 or 6 miles, it could catch some of these guys out of fuel. Yep. And it probably will as we march on into time.
Would you be envious of the car that Earnhardt Jr.'s had tonight?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that thing has been very, very good. But you know what? A lot of those guys have good cars. I mean, Matt's car looks really good. Harvick's car looked good up until about 20, 25 laps ago.
And you get to get out there and race with him next Saturday.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Look forward to watching you. 1 to go when they come to the line. So that'll be 253. So we'll go green at 254, white at 255, and the checkered flag potentially flying at lap 256 tonight here at Bristol. So a little bonus action for the fans who've come out tonight and for you at home as well. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has dominated the night so far, led 122 of the 253 laps. We'll see if he can hang on for a final couple.
Okay, remember patience?
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah, forget that. Yeah.
There's no patience in any one of these cars right now.
We're only talking about the first 100 laps as far as patience is concerned. With 1 lap to go, 2 laps to go, do whatever you got to do.
13 cautions for 87 laps. I didn't know we'd seen any patience tonight. So here we go. Kenseth, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, David Green, David Stremme, and Martin Truex trying to chase down Dale Earnhardt Jr. and see what they can do in these final 2 laps.
Ready. Green.
Man, Earnhardt gets great restarts. I mean, that's the second one in a row. He just smoked him.
What a restart.
Kenseth trying to rally back off 2. Got a little ground going on him. Yo, was that deep.
He's right there.
White flag. 1 more lap.
White flag.
Can Kenseth get close enough to him?
Watch out. Back bumper. Watch turn 3. Watch how far he goes in. Hello.
Oh, not quite close enough. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins it.
Good finish.
Good job, gang. Real good job.
And we got through the green-white checker without another crash, which I wasn't sure was going to happen. First NASCAR Busch Series win at Bristol for Dale Earnhardt Jr. His second win in 4 tries so far this season, and his 20th career Busch Series win in his 83rd start.
Truex Jr. comes down, gives him a little bump.
RB envied moment. Dale Earnhardt Jr. certainly had a car worthy of envy tonight. He led 125 of the 256 laps.
Eat your heart out, Wally. You're envious, right? Me too.
And we'll hear from Earnhardt Jr. in victory lane in a moment.
Oh, man, listen to the fans.
A popular win with the partisan crowd. This is Earnhardt country. Matt?
Well, Pete, you survived the green-white checkered. Great night tonight.
Yeah, it was an excellent night. Like I said earlier, the car was great off the trailer. I got to thank Bono and his Chance 2 guys. This is one of their cars. Just an excellent weekend. Thank you.
Nice job, homie.
Yeah, just real good. And then I got the best in the business, so made it easy on me.
And here's Bono coming in.
Thank you, man.
To Dave.
Matt Kenseth getting out of the 17 car now, which at times didn't look like it was an Earnhardt beater, but it almost was, Matt.
I didn't hear what he said, but that was a great race. I'm not a big fan of green-white checkers, but our Bayer Alka-Seltzer car ran good tonight. If I went to spun the tires, I think I would have had a shot at Junior, but seems like everybody's happier with this outcome, so that's all right. But just spun the tires. I mean, we didn't have a car that could have beat them unless we got green-white checkers, and I was just real fast on a restart and spun the tires. Need 1 more lap.
And while you mentioned how the 81 car got such a great restart.
Yep, he sure did. That was the difference.
So Earnhardt Jr. drives up the ramp onto the top of the building and into Bristol Motor Speedway's victory lane, where we will hear from him momentarily. Earnhardt Jr. picking up yet another victory this season. He is 2 for 4 so far this year, and let's focus in on the Busch Series championship picture while we wait for Earnhardt Jr. Dave, go ahead.
And Kyle Busch working on that with a 3rd place finish here tonight. Got passed out there late, but car was pretty good, right?
It was. It wasn't too bad. I was actually really happy with it. You know, it ran great all day long, and a little bit tight in the center of the corner, but you're going to have that here at Bristol. And the drive up off wasn't too great either, but made it happen. We got a 3rd. I'm happy with that. You know, after 2 wins and then a 3rd here, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth, they're always hard to beat. So I'm glad that we came up top on the Busch guys.
Alan?
So Kyle Busch with a good night as far as his championship bid is concerned. And we go to our Reese's Winner's Circle interview. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in victory lane, and Marty Snyder is there with him.
Well, the last time Dale Earnhardt Jr. started on a short track in the NASCAR Busch Series was Richmond, 2001. That night, he sat on the pole and won the race. Tonight, he starts first and finishes first. First of all, nice restarts, and secondly, were you worried about all those cautions you were getting?
Yeah, my car was sliding around. Good job, Pete. This is my crew chief for the weekend, Pete.
Did a good job.
Oh, yes, sir. Did a great job. He he worked on Ron's car, Watkins Glen, his crew chief there, but I was worried. I got a lot of stuff on my tires. We had a caution, and I went down on the apron, got a bunch of junk on my tires. My car was a little sliding around a little bit, but Matt did a good job. He could have ran all over me. I mean, to be honest with you. Last lap, I was chugging through the corners, just trying to keep it on the bottom. And he laid off of me, and, you know, it was a good race, good win.
Yeah, and for you guys, things have not been great in the Cup Series. Even for an accomplished driver like you, what does a win do?
Accomplished, huh? Well, I got a lot more things I'd like to do, but we got to get better, you know. And we, no point fingers, just, you know, we all gather ourselves and do the best we can every week and, you know, try to figure out how to get better all the time. This is pretty cool to be able to get back in the Busch Series and run with the Busch guys. It's a great series. I want to thank Menards and everything they've done with DEI and their support of our company. And hopefully we'll get the Budweiser Chevrolet in the same spot this Sunday here.
Big win for Dale Earnhardt Jr. His teammate is with Matt.
Showing their championship medal, Martin Truex Jr. What a way to battle back, but I know you're not happy with the circumstances.
No, just real disappointed, you know. I guess it's just the way Bristol is. You know, you get caught up in somebody's mess. I guess Biffle was pissed off at somebody and decided to wreck them, and I had nowhere to go, so. Tough break, great team as always, battled back. Toe was knocked out real bad. I was just too tight to run them guys ahead of me. And, you know, what are you going to do? It's Bristol. Glad we're out of here.
What a way to battle back. They end up with a 7th place finish.
Boy, I've felt that before.
That's
like, all right, I can't wait to get out of here.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the win tonight as we check out the finishing results from the Food City 250.
Carl Edwards being the first car 1 lap down in 18th position.
And some of the drivers who had troubles farther on down the finishing order in the huge number of cautions we had tonight, 13 for 87 laps. Championship standings down to 78 points, the gap between the two as the Busch Series heads to California next week. Tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, Nextel Cup Racing from here in Bristol. Hope you'll join us. See you then.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.